Welcome to another episode of the Camera Junkie Livestream. We are live, and I welcome you all to yet another episode 114 of the Camera Junkie Livestream, and we're gonna get it done. As per usual, I usually have a countdown and things like that to get things started, but because we're starting from scratch, we are literally starting from scratch. So this is how you would go live directly from Ecamm to YouTube with the best, highest quality, I guess, in video and audio. But this is a more watered down setup. I literally have just a simple PodTrack P4 connected with my microphone to get the signal out. Now, your equipment may vary, but we're going to start from scratch because last week I was on the road, for those of you who were able to catch it. And being on the road, I realized how minimal and how much power is within the new Ecamm 4.0. So there was scenes that I had in my previous live stream setup that are basically unnecessary now because what I was building in is kind of part of the program. So I'm going to take you along on the journey, and I'm going to show you a behind the scenes kind of, you know, putting a live stream together. So if you have any questions about how you would like to do something yourself, feel free to leave a question within the chat. You just put a Q colon in front of it, and we will get things, answered to you. Because through the power of Ecamm, I am able to search the comments as well, so I make sure that I answer your questions. And with that being said, let's go right ahead to the chat to see who's here. And first off, we have Richard Sarkeesian. All right, let's adjust this. We always have to adjust the size of the comments here. All right. And once we have that adjusted, we're just going to lock that in as far as the scene goes, and we're good to go. All right. So now when I click on things, it'll just be perfect size. It says, "Hi, Lewis. How are you, my friend?" I'm doing good, man. Last week was a lot of fun. I took, a little mini road trip to Orlando. I was able to learn a lot of what to do for future kind of get-togethers and meetups that I want to get to. And one of them was that I mentioned that you have to basically just be dialed in for that event and nothing else. I tried to fit too many things within last Saturday, and because of it, everything else got delayed. All right, we got D in the house, Marine X saying door kicked in. As always, thank you, sir, for hanging out. James Hicks is in the house. How are you doing, sir? He's saying, "What's up, yo?" I'm doing good. Thank you for, hanging out here with me and making the new setup with Ecamm 4.0. I'm going to get into like the live demo so that you can see what I see, how I have it set up with the new things on Ecamm. And then on top of that, go through the steps of how I would build it out. I'm going to go through my normal avenues. So I'm going to be using Canva and different things like that, and just show you how easily and how quickly you can rebuild an entire live stream setup to get it basically to how I had it before, which took me a long time. So much easier now with Ecamm 4.0. So all right, Hassan Niz is in the house. How are you doing, sir? Long time, and thank you for making the time all the way from Australia. Amazing. Thank you for, hanging out here. And we have our first question. It says, "Maybe later you can show how to feed audio into Ecamm with a 2011 iMac. I really want to incorporate that old iMac into the live stream somehow." Okay, that's actually, I could kind of go through it using this type of setup. Excuse me. Right now, the only added thing that I have that's kind of like above the norm is something that I mentioned before, which is the crisp audio plugin. And that just allows Aiden to be chilling over here playing all of his, like, I guess, copyright, play school songs, and having the blast, but that's not coming through the audio. But let's get to it. Oh, we also have Sly sliding in here. See what I did there? Saying hi, Lewis and fam. Love the new color shirt. Thank you. This was like a limited edition run with this, but now I'm gonna be able to provide. I don't know if you've checked it out. If you're on, like if you're on the actual webpage, Mr. Camera Junkie, you will get a link to my Spreadshirt. And through Spreadshirt, I was able to put up more designs a lot faster with more variety. And we also have Ecamm in the house saying, hey, fam, how are you? Please let us know which member of Ecamm is actually saying hello. So, all right, that's cool. And if you haven't done so already, this is a time where I remind you to hit that thumbs up. It's highly appreciated. But there was a couple of things that were going on. One of the things that, let me see, I'm just going to switch to my next camera here. Boom. All right, right over here. That's my Rodecaster Pro 2. And I'm just going to tap it over here on the side. And what it does is that it starts playing its own like little music, and it just goes haywire, and it's been doing that for a while, and now it doesn't want to do it, of course, because it's live. But that's one of the reasons I need to send it in for an RMA. And because of that, I decided to take this time now to not only revamp my setup, but change it up a little bit, because I'm going to have to be without it while it goes visits the doctor. And hopefully I get it back soon, but got to go through the steps just to make sure that I get that done within the appropriate time. I can't believe how long I've had that system already. So it's very impressive. I absolutely love it. Excuse me. Absolutely love that setup, but I do have to send it in so that we can get those buttons fixed. I know I'm not the only one who's dealing with that, so it's not like, it's something out of the norm, so it should be taken care of fairly easily. Oh, we also have John sneaking in here saying hello, and Mr. Jared Spink saying hello. Says that Ecamm sign in the back is amazing. Thank you. I absolutely love that, right? And it's kind of like a one of a kind piece, because it's I have it set up where I could change the colors. So it's kind of part of my setup here with the RGBs. I can just make them red or green. Here we go. But blue is always nice, accompanied with the Ecamm. But that was actually something that happened in your neck of the woods, Jared. The It was the convention that was happening in California. I think that's when you actually met up with Doc Rock at that same convention that Ecamm had a get together with the, I think it was the socks in like sports mugs or something like that, and they had an entire barrel theme, and these were the barrel toppers. So the barrel toppers that they had made with all the Ecamm logos, which was, I believe, is where you would get like just place your drinks, they had to take them all together. And when I was fortunate enough to be at the Ecamm headquarters, Ken was just messing around, and he's like, was it Ken or Glenn? I think actually it was Glenn. I think it was that one of the last days that he was like, hey, do you want this? And I was like, absolutely. Yeah, it was actually Glenn. It was the third day of the shoots. And so I took that, and I was the only one who actually put it in the car. And because I was road tripping, it was very easy to just leave it in the car, and I drove it all the way down from Massachusetts and was trying to figure out how to implement it. And what I ended up doing was just making a like foam core backing to it so that it's actually recessed from the door, which is metal, and I put magnets on it so I could actually take it off. And then I just put the same RGB light strips around that same kind of backing to kind of reinforce it with all the lights shooting outwards. And now with a simple little cable that you could just barely see right there, there. That's the only thing that's actually powering up the light, but it allows me to have complete control over all the colors. As you can see, top and bottom matching, and then I could just turn them off if it goes off, right? Yep. A lot of fun with that. let's turn that back on. Let's go to blue. Boom. And yeah, that's just, I wanted to mention that, and I'm glad that this conversation come up, because I need to document more of that, because I think that's part of the creative process, right? Like when you think outside the box and trying to make something else. And the cool part is that with the magnets, it's removable. So I can literally just take it off and adjust it. And that's because I kept knocking into it. And when I tried to make it permanent, I kept falling off. So I was like, how can I make this where in case I hit it, it just doesn't go flying off? And then the magnets, because the door's metal. So that's uh that's the story of my Ecamm sign, one of a kind. It was those barn or the barrel toppers, and now it's a 3D recessed light in my set. He says he loves it. Oh, so Ecamm was Paul. He says, oops, it's Paul, wrong account. Nah, no problem. That's cool. And Hassan says, I had the same issue with my RCP2 a while ago and had to send it in. Yeah, so I have been putting it off with the RCP2 because I use it all the time. I'm hosting or producing podcasts. So I'm just always trying to keep my setup. And the only thing that I wasn't able to do with it currently is just leave the touchpads on, because they can just go off at any time and I could be talking. And Paul actually was here for an episode of the live stream where I spoke for like 15 minutes in like that deep voice that like the like that was so funny because I had no clue, and I'm just going off on a rant all about cameras, and like everybody is cracking up because I'm not looking at the comments. I am doing my soliloquy, just went off on it, and I was in that like sound effects voice the entire time. So it's happened. That's why I shut it off, and that's why it needs to go in so that I can get that fixed. Says Jared says, I love my socks. Oh, so yeah, so he was at that event. So now you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was given to me by Glenn when I was up there. Yeah, and I put it to use. Everybody's got pillows, right? Everybody's got those pillows, but nobody's got the sign. Gary Jones is also in the house saying greetings. How are you? All right, so now let's get into it. This is just basically a simple setup, and through the power of Ecamm, you can bring comments like that very easily onto your live stream. And if this is all that you're looking to do, get a high quality, image and high quality audio, this could be all you need. You could just hook up Ecamm to your equipment. Right now, I've been using the camera, the ZV-1F. That one's a very simple camera where you can just plug it in one USB-C cable on either end to the camera, to the computer, and it automatically recognizes as a webcam. So that would be an increased level of production, and is still very simple. You can use a USB microphone and you're all set. The way that I used it last week, which I'm still surprised on how good it sounds, was that I was actually using the onboard microphone of the ZV-1F through the same USB-C cable. So I didn't even bring an extra microphone. I just had my MacBook Air, the camera, and use both the camera's video and audio to process that through Ecamm, and that was it as far as my live stream setup. Now, this one, we're going to take you a little bit behind the scenes. Let's go to the next shot. There we go. This is behind the scenes. This is what I'm dealing with. My normal setup here is a Sony a6100 that is back here. In front of it, I have this, what is it? A desk view. Yep, a desk view teleprompter with an aperture. Let me get this model number correct because this is an older unit, but V-Screen VS2. So this model itself is discontinued, but it's basically a 7-inch, camera monitor that you would use for, production or like your entire kit. I'm utilizing it with the HDMI connected to my computer as just another computer monitor, but it has the added benefits of being able to like flip the image. So being able to flip the image, I can use it as the teleprompter or confidence monitor, how some people call it. And there I actually have all of your comments. So I'm able to read them directly, from from that window without kind of breaking eye contact. So that makes it a lot easier to keep things flowing, and it's helped me a lot so that I don't go off on those rants where I'm not actually seeing the comments. Like this one that Paul says, don't forget to hit the like button. So, okay. Now behind the scenes, this camera that we're seeing here, this is the iPhone XR. So I have a spare iPhone XR, something that would be just thrown in a drawer somewhere, but I have it connected via a long lightning cable, so it's constantly being powered, and I have it hanging and hovering and using the new continuity camera through Apple. The computer just recognizes it as another camera. So let me also go into the live demo mode. So, boom. So yeah, now in live demo mode. Oh, hopefully you can hear me. Okay. And we're still live. It asked me to update the audio like it did last week, and I learned my lesson. I will not update the audio while while live. It would have cut this off, but we continue. So now you're seeing the overhead shot, but you're also seeing, like my desktop as well. So you're seeing my camera switcher window here, which if you had a guest come on from, like the interview mode that's available on Ecamm, you would see that guest here, and this window gives you the power to adjust the colors and image of each individual camera just by clicking on it. So if I think that this one's too bright, I am able to bring down that exposure and just simply close down that window, and that gets implemented right away. So this is my setup using 3 cameras. This camera here would be my secondary camera through the AB switcher and the camera switcher window, trying to be as specific as possible. I'm seeing all of my cameras. So I'm seeing my 2 A6100s, which is giving me my side profile, and the front facing camera, which is what what you normally would see. And right now we're on the iPhone XR, which I have kind of hovering to show you my behind the scenes. I have a simple PodTrack P4 Zoom brand, and that is basically working as my audio interface. So that, with one simple cable, USB-C to USB-C, I have that connected to my Mac Studio computer, and that is giving me all of the audio from the computer, and it's pumping it out through the headphone jacks here in the front. And it's also recognizing my microphone, everything that I have connected in the first 3 slots as far as XLR cable capability goes, because the last 2 are actually dedicated for different features. The third one on the Zoom Pod Track can be a microphone, but it also can be a basic headphone 3.5 millimeter jack, or the Bluetooth add-on that gets placed over here to the side. You're able to select that, and to actually use this as a correct interface where we can hear what's going on from the computer as well. We actually have to dedicate the last channel, channel 4, as basically that input coming in from the computer. So you would actually switch it all the way to the USB side, and that gives this the full capability of doing audio in and audio out. So if someone I had was let me get that out. If I were to be interviewing someone and we'd be seeing them there in the switcher window, this is how I would be using this system to listen in, because I am monitoring all of the audio that you're listening to through the headphone jack number one, and then to hear it through like my computer monitors here in the setup, I actually have it connected through this, another headphone jack channel, so I am able to control the volume for them separately. So right now, so that there's no slap back, meaning the sounds that the system is picking up from the microphone being produced right into the speakers that I have in front of me, and then have that sound reverberate through the microphone because it's picking up the slapback. I have those monitors completely shut off and I am listening to everything, or hypothetically be listening to my guest or music that I usually have on the live stream right here through this monitor coming in through that headphone jack. So that's where we are as far as my system goes. And right now I'm going to show you that I was using a very complex Rodecaster Pro 2 to bring in, to mix in my music, to mix in basically another Mac Mini computer, which was where I had the music coming in and playing that. Right now I'm going to use everything through Ecamm to make it as simple as possible to be able to reproduce this, or a high quality live stream anywhere you go using a laptop computer, especially these new M2 Pro machines, these new MacBook Pros. These things are monsters. So anything that I am able to do here, you could easily do there as well. Now, you could supplement anything that you have here, like a full system like this, to a simple USB microphone. And like I had mentioned before, even last week when I just used the microphone off of the camera that was built in. So, all right, we also have Kathy sneaking in here saying hello to everyone. And John saying hello to her as well. All right, so we're gonna continue. We're in the behind the scenes mode. So now I would like to add some music. Usually I have an entire different source. Right now, if I wanted to add something else as far as like a different interface, something that I could do, and this was on a completely separate note. Let's go to the first camera here. All right. On a separate note, I've been looking for an audio bag that I have, and I could not find it because I wanted to implement this just a little bit different. Something that I had in mind was to connect my Rode AI Micro, because I mentioned before I use this crisp audio, like what would you call it? A plugin? Yeah. So yeah, the Crisp Audio plugin, but it's basically an app that's running, cleaning up my audio. So if any random music or anything were to come in, any sudden sounds, it's actually like wiping them out. And it works so well that it will eliminate the music. So if I were to bring in a separate music channel right now through the Zoom, Crisp will basically remove that music and it wouldn't go through. So I would actually have to add a secondary, interface. And that's what I was going to use the Rode AI Micro to basically just plug in my old iPhone as well that has a headphone jack. Yeah, I still have those. And have that be putting in the music from Epidemic Sound, which they now have an application that works right on the phone. And I've been in love using that all the time now as well. But we don't have that, so I'm going to make it even simpler. Than instead of adding another interface to add music, we're going to add the music directly through Ecamm. So I'm going to open up a folder over here, and I should have a folder that basically says my Epidemic Sound or music. Yep, Epidemic Music. All right, cool. So I have plenty of songs here. I'm not even going to go through them right now. I am just going to literally click and drag a certain amount here. And I am going to just add them. Oh, hold on. So I lost my feed here for Ecamm. There we go. Okay, so we're seeing Ecamm here. What am I gonna do? I'm going to add a folder here. I'm gonna call this music. Boom. Now that I've added that folder, I'm gonna take this group of files and I'm gonna just drag into that folder. Boom. Right? Yep, there they go. Perfect. I just couldn't see them. Okay, so now we have music. Now we can just press play. That's a bit loud. Sound effects. And we're gonna drop that down. We can control that for the audio, but now that's very low, but it's in the mix. So now we have one piece added to, like I usually have my live stream. So now that we're chilling, hanging out, we have some good tunes playing in the background. We can basically just close that out and not worry about it. We have options to add a hotkey, and this is an important feature here to just basically have it loop. So as soon as it reaches the end of the playlist, it will start over again. I have on my playlist over 9 hours of consecutive music through Epidemic Sound. We're not going to drop all of that right now, but I will mention that you can just redirect the folder, I believe, just so that you can have a folder like I already do on my computer, and just have it directed with Ecamm so that you could just access the files kind of like a server. All right, but we added that over here, and we're just gonna continue to roll, getting messages on my computer. All right. So now we have music playing, and the whole thing about this is that Crisp Audio is still doing all of its audio processing, clearing out all of the sound effects. Like right now, my air conditioner just turned on, but you can't hear it. But because the audio is coming in from Ecamm itself, the music audio, excuse me, is not being affected, but Ecamm is doing the appropriate mixing so that I can hear it, you can hear it, it's in the background, but it's not being cut off through the crisp audio processing. So, all right, now we continue. So now I like to add like a visual background. So let me see if I have any saved here. I have a folder on my desktop which I call live stream files. Okay, I have a couple of loops here. So what I look for is in Canva is I go into like background video files, right? And the most important thing that I look for is that it's loopable, meaning that the end of the file or the last frame looks identical to the first frame, so that if you were to put it on a loop for like infinite amount of time, you wouldn't see like a hard jump cut where something starts and where something stops and then starts over again. That's just my own personal thing. So I'm gonna bring this over here, which I believe we're looking at, right? Like this is just my folder, and I'm just gonna hit the space bar so that you can see this loop. This loop, let me know in the comments if you're seeing what I'm showing right now as far as the video file, because I'm not exactly sure it's playing. But if it is coming through, you'll see that at 17 seconds, that's the length of the video. You can actually kind of like look at particular like parts of the screen to make sure that they match up with like the first frame. And I've already done this with these files, that even though they look very intricate, you can't tell where they start or stop. Infinite loop. So I have quite a few. That's one. Let's see. Actually, we're not trying to rename it. Let's look at the next one. This one's a little simpler. It just kind of like zooms out, zooms back in. I think I would have liked the purple to be a little bit darker, but that's just me. This is another cool one. Okay, I just got the thumbs up from Paul. Thank you. I don't even have control over the Mac Mini, Paul, as well. So even though I have Discord open over here, I can't see it. But this is kind of a cool one, like wavy polygons. And I just look at certain areas, like I guess if we can see the mouse here, right? That's the last frame. I'm looking at this area. I will focus on it and then go to the first frame and see how it looks comparative. So that first frame in that same area, why did it go black? That's weird. Maybe that's why I didn't use that one. Okay, so we continue. But still, that one should have worked. And then that's one that I used for a long time, if you've been part of the Camera Junkie Livestream. So this is like older files. So that's one that I used. I'm going to go with the first one. Might be a little busy, but it's okay. It's demonstration purposes. Okay, so now that we have that file, I'm going to go right over here, and under the overlays, I'm going to put, there's a section here that says show in background. And that's basically where I'm going to drop this file. I'm going to take loop number 1 and I'm going to go drop in background. It says play full screen with audio or add animated overlay. I'm going to put full screen. Okay, I put it with full screen with audio and it muted me because it was doing the audio. So right now you will see me still in the small boxes here, but the main file, as you can see, just ran its course. So what I'm going to do is that right here is one of the options in the drop down. Oh, it's locked. So I have to unlock the scene. I'm going to put loop video. Now that it's looped, I can hit play and it will play indefinitely. And now that is the background in all scenes, because that's where I put it, right? Let me make sure. Actually, no. That's not what happened. So we see. Maybe if I should have selected it as the animated overlay. So let's go ahead and try that again. Beauty of the Mac programs, right? And that Ecamm is part of like Apple natively, is that we can just hit Control Z. Did it do it? Nope. Did not take that off. Okay. So let's just change this here to the camera once again. All right. Let's go back to that same folder. No, we don't need to see me big like that again. All right. All right, we're going to go back to the loop and I'm going to add it, and we're going to add it as an overlay. Okay, so that's what I was supposed to do. Perfect. See, it's been such a long time that I haven't even redone my own setup. I have to correct myself. But I am going to change it from show in current scene to show in background. Right? And let's repeat the same thing. We're going to loop the video. Okay, I'm over here just a little confused and just making sure. Okay, that's where I needed to change it. Okay, so I was changing the wrong item. Down here underneath this play window, there's a smaller play window which is actually controlling that overlay loop, which is showing in current scene. And that's the one that I just selected through the drop down menu to loop it. Okay, and now it's looping correctly. So I was just waiting that time, double checking to make sure that it was working the way it should. Okay, and that's what's going on there. The second one is not, it's where it's supposed to be the camera. Okay, so now right here, I'm just gonna add myself through this same overlays window. I'm gonna add myself as a camera. I could go through the buttons here, but if I am correct, I am able to just click and drag from the camera switcher window, and that's it. That's how easy it is now to add another image. So this is where you can have a lot of fun, because now you can just adjust the size, right? And that's it. Like, and you're good to go. You do have the same options over here so that you can see your border width, right? How intense the corners you want them to be. So let's go about 50, about halfway. And then the color of the corners. So we're just gonna make it more dark purple here. And we're gonna take some of the opacity away. So right within the same, let's let some of the background come through. So we'll go 65. All right, so that looks like my numbers there. These settings should be saved now for all of my future like camera drop-ins. So now we have that as the first scene. We can just lock that up and we're good to go. Actually, you know what? I'm so off center. And you see the blue boxes, like awesome blue boxes that we got now. We could adjust the size, make sure that we're centered. Boom and boom. There we go. So the OCD doesn't kick in. And now we have the whole camera set up with a motion overlay in the background. I did want this to be here. And when I say that, I mean the loop. Exactly. Okay, so now what just happened? What did I just do? It's supposed to be in the background. Okay, so hold on. Let me change this real quick. See, that's how we add it. But now this. Oh, let's go back to that. Then we're going to turn on the camera again. And we're here to make it simple. So if this works, we're going to roll with it. What I'm going to do now is I'm basically just going to duplicate this scene. Okay, so I'm going to remove these others. Let's just duplicate the scene. And we'll leave it as copy of A. That's fine. But what we're going to do is we are going to just switch the camera to the secondary shot, right? Boom. Okay. And then we're going to do it one more time. Just see. We're just going to do it. And we're going to change the camera once again to the iPhone XR camera. Boom. Okay. Remove these. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. That's old stuff. Okay. Clearing all that up. And we're gonna rename this B. And we will just march on. Okay, so now we have A, B, and C. But we're gonna make another one because we had a variety of different shots. So we're gonna make another one here, and this is gonna be the first dual cam A/B. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to change it to the first shot, or camera A. Boom. Now we have that set up, and we're gonna change the size. We're gonna hang him in the corner, and then we're gonna take camera B. I'm gonna drop you here. Actually, I think aesthetically this might look a little bit better. That looks good. Okay. 2 cameras set up, and now that's a scene. Now I can just change that up from before, and I just duplicated that scene as well. But I'm going to change it. I'm going to do B/C. And adjust for those cameras just the same. Let's move this out of the way. Let's adjust this to camera B. This one's going to be the XR. And then one more time, we're going to repeat it with C and A as the cameras. Dual camera air conditioning. All right. And that basically covers, actually, did I do that? I squoze that camera all the way into the corner on all the shots. I did. Ugh. Disgusting. Time to adjust it. All right. There we go. That should look better. All right, so let's run through those real quick. Yeah. Okay, they all have borders. All right, cool. All right, so now I have a 6 camera setup, and what I did is that before I used to have these cameras all switching in with different timers and everything, and I had this whole elaborate thing. Now this is so much easier because I'm able to just add these things basically one time and then basically just copy them over and over again into like different folders, and the folder is what's going to have all the adjustment settings to it. Okay, so Paul said, Sly says, I will be rewatching and studying the playback. This is many times. The background says, I really like the background of the music. Hopefully I'll figure out on Friday. Yeah, and if you're using Ecamm, right, like the cool part is that you could also repurpose this. So even though I'm doing the live stream right now, I'm also recording everything directly into the computer itself, and the new M1 computers have the ability to record isolated video as well. So even though it separates the audio, as you can see here that I have the sound effects at one level and my microphone at another, when I go to see the files in the folder, they were going to have a microphone track for the first microphone and a separate one for the music, so they're not mixed in post-production, allowing you to do whatever you want with the original file, you know, re-editing, repurposing, making it vertical, doing everything, and you can make as many edits as you want because the music is not baked in. But that same separation is now available for the video. So every feed that you're seeing here in my camera switcher window is going to come in as a separate camera feed, including your guests. So they will all have their own separate feed, And now in post-production, you're able to adjust and, switch scenes and have a multiple camera shoot, all being recorded and in sync, which takes so much hassle away when you know that every file that you're dealing with is going to start and end at the same time. So when you go into your editor, for me it's Final Cut Pro, all I have to do is basically select all the files and stack them correctly and make sure that they all start at the same point and they're automatically in sync. And all I have to do is select to which one I want to be displayed, and that's how easy it's all being done because of the power of Ecamm. So I wanted these cameras to go into rotation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new folder. It says new automatic group. So yep, put all cams. Hit enter there. We're going to drag this to the bottom. Let me see. Is it as simple as... No, that actually throws them in there. Well, this is an Apple product, so what I'm going to try is I'm going to press the Alt key. Or what is it? Let me make sure, because I have it as a computer keyboard, but it should be the Option key. Yeah. The Option key, the Alt key, the Option key. And we're going to click on that, press and hold, and I'm just going to click on the scene and drag it, and it is going to create a copy of it. See, copy of A, and now that's right into the folder. And now I'm going to do the same with every other one. Yep. You're seeing how simple it is. I'm doing it live on the fly, and now we've created a copy of every single one of those scenes that I just created easily. We're going to lock all of them down. And now they're all in that folder, right? Are they? Oh, nope. Now they will be. So you gotta check yourself. I'm like, nope. I was just missing the folder. Okay, but now when I close the folders, you can see they're part of the folder. They're in there. We're good to go. And now I can hit this little cogwheel here. And now is where we get all the settings. So this is where it really makes it even that much easier. So before, I had the same scenes repeated multiple times and had different timers for each scene. So that even though I was reusing this scene where you would see like two angles of me at the same time, the variation of time of how long it would stay there would differ depending on the timer that I had set up for that scene. So to make it look as like natural, or better said as random, right? So that it doesn't get like mundane or monotonous, so to speak, I had a variation to keep it kind of like unnoticeable, almost kind of like the infinite loop. You don't want something to be kind of rhythmic to the point where you can tell even subconsciously. I guess that's just me. So if that's something that I know that affects me, I'm gonna try to do my best to not implement that on my own live stream. So now with Ecamm, you can basically have it advance to the next scene. As you can see here, it says fixed interval, but you could put random time and range. Now it's going to give you the option to set that time and range right there. So now I think that the shortest or the fastest that it should switch maybe should be around 7 seconds, right? That's the shortest amount of time that I would say it's okay to switch from one scene to the other. But then the length could be up to a minute long of holding a particular shot. So that's exactly what I'm going to put. So I'm going to put here, the shortest interval is going to be 7 seconds. And the longest, you know what, just for S&Gs, we're going to put 63 seconds. So a minute, 3 seconds. And that's the longest. Cross the solve. And that's it. Now all the randomizing is done with just the scenes that I gave it. And now I'm able to just press play on that and it goes to do all the work. So now I can do part of the podcast, right? And I can just let the camera go off and randomly switch through all of my scenes. And I don't have to worry about it getting like locked up or exactly how long is going to stay on a shot. It's completely randomized through the program now, and that's as easy as it is, and that now makes it that much easier for anyone to create these scenes and implement them onto a variety of different situations. For example, if you're on the road and you're going to take a setup like this or something like a pre-made show to a different location where you don't know what cameras are going to be used, that's when it's ideal to actually set these up with camera A, B, C, D, so on and so forth, because you're not giving it a particular destination yet. You're still able to set everything up ahead of time, giving the folders and every scene the information of this is going to be camera 1, this is going to be camera 2, so on and so forth. Then when you get to said location and you actually see the equipment you're dealing with, if there's 3 or 4 webcams, because that's what they're using, then you connect all of 4 of those webcams and designate each one to a particular letter type, and that automatically gets implemented to all of the scenes because they're already set with the camera's letters in mind. But if you get there and you're dealing with, you know, DSLRs all the way around and cam links, you're still able to then connect those to your system and designate each camera to a letter that will then get implemented to the same scene in a different situation. So that's where the convenience of Ecamm is really taking it to the next level. And throughout all of this, you still have the camera switcher window, which you're seeing here, giving you all the angles. So as a, you know, remote producer, you're able to see exactly what's going on and see your guests even though they're not maybe actively live. Because hypothetically, if there was somebody in the green room hanging out as my guest, I can give them time to fix themselves if they need to, if something were to go awry, and actually be able to see when they are ready to be able to be back on the screen, to be back live. So that's just one of the simple, like basically that's taken what I've done in a nutshell, and I've been able to not only implement it all, but actually show you how I did it instead of just being completely frazzled, you know, and trying to put all the pieces together within an hour's time. Because I look at it now, and from when I actually started rebuilding these scenes and everything like that, hasn't even been an hour. So I would say probably in about a half an hour, I was able to rebuild my kind of setup and live stream the same way that I had done. And it took me a lot longer before, because using Ecamm for so long, all of these implementations have just been increasing, and that's why I recommend this program so much. I use it every single day. It has changed pretty much everything that I do in every way. It really has it has allowed me to show up online and present myself in the best way. And I say we, but, you know, just mentioning Doc Rock and the LGL and Ecamm fam, we talk about the digital business suite, which is back in the day, right? Back in the day, to show yourself off in the best light, trying to get a job for a job interview or anything, it wasn't even like a second thought to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a suit that was going to make you look your best for your, first impression at whatever it is at whatever event that you were going to do. Yet you don't think about it in the same way when it comes to the online space. Yet right now, the way that we show up in a Zoom meeting makes all the difference in the world, as if it were a Versace suit, but people find it really hard to invest the same type of funds in a simple setup, right? And you don't even have to spend $3,000, but a simple setup, maybe $1,500 to $2,000, and I mean including computers, cameras, and the whole nine, can get you a much better image to best represent yourself online in this new digital world, right? In the new digital space where we're full of Zoom meetings and so many different online events, online webinars, and basically everything, the connections that you're able to establish by putting your best foot forward online could make all the difference in the world. And I can't emphasize enough that everywhere I go, or every time that I show up online, people ask me why I look 4K. Like, why do you look like you're in 4K? And I tell them, because I am. It's because I am shooting in 4K, and being a camera junkie, I always like to maximize and get the most out of my equipment. And yet I know that I'm also not the most like flashy or the biggest spender when it comes to gear. I am very humble, but I try to maximize and get the most out of my equipment. I have a lot of fun with it, but if you're just looking at this image right here, and we can get out of like live demo mode now. All right, so looking at this, or that image down there, now that I switched, but looking at the overhead camera, you can see that with an iPhone you can get a substantially good image that also gives you a much better representation of what you're trying to say or do in the online space. So the way I see it, the investment is still in yourself in this digital space. And back in the day, you would spend some funds on a nice business suit, a nice dress, something to make you look your best. Right now, it actually is not so much the actual clothing that you have on it, but the way that you show up and the way that you sound online. Those are just my thoughts. So, all right. I hope you guys got something out of this, because as you can see, we're basically almost there. Just a couple of little like tweaks and adjustments to actually take this live stream to what I want it to be. One thing that I'm going to be working on is because I actually have to make them. I want to create these WebM files as far as like little overlays, so that for those of you who used to or are familiar with like Mortal Kombat, where like a character would just pop in on screen and it's kind of just like a little GIF image, I want to be able to make one and have that at a push of a button, so that when I talk about hitting the like button and just hitting that like button, I actually have a graphic of me just coming out like and just like punching the button, so to speak, and implementing that as a graphic through WebM and Ecamm. So those are things that I actually want to implement as well. I think there'll be like a funny gag, but at the same time, just I have to record them. So for me to actually be able to implement them, I have to record them. Okay, Slice got a question. Says, I'm running all my cameras through an A10 Mini. Do I leave them in Camera One all the time, Ecamm do the switching? Okay, that's a little different. So to mention it, the ATEM, if you have that camera doing the switching, then you're going to need to use the ATEM, because even though you could add as many cameras as the ATEM system allows you to, because there's some that do 8 and stuff like that, the ATEM is the hardware doing all of the switching. Your computer only recognizes the ATEM as a single camera. So because these are separate cam links, I am able to see each one as its own feed. But unfortunately, the way the ATEM Mini works, whether it's Ecamm, OBS, or any system that you're using, it only recognizes the ATEM as one camera. And whichever feed you decide to switch to would be represented as that one camera. So unfortunately, because it doesn't get the individual feeds from each camera into the computer, allowing it to be processed that way, Ecamm only sees the ATEM as one camera. So whatever feed you're giving it and whatever switch will be the singular feed that will actually be recorded. Oh, Paul was helping you out as well. It says you won't be able to add the different cameras in Ecamm like Lewis did. Hopefully my explanation just rounded off, that same thing, because it's exactly that. Each camera that goes into my computer is its own source. So like you were seeing in the camera switcher, right, window, and I'll go into the live demo real quick for you, Sly. And by the way, Sly, amazing job on your live stream on Friday. The fact that you were on for 2.5 hours, like just know that. Big ups, you rocked it. But going back into the live demo mode here again. No, we're gonna not worry about that right now. Okay, we're gonna go into my C camera. Well, does that even matter? No, let's just go here. Okay, live demo mode. Right here on the upper right hand side, you have the camera switcher. So I see all the cameras as their own individual feeds because they are linked in individually. If you were to open up your Ecamm, you will only see one connection here, which would be your ATEM. And you can switch physically through the buttons, and that would make the adjustment on there. But in your camera switcher window, you will only be able to see one feed, which is your ATEM, because that's the way it works. So that's the one singular feed that you would be recording isolated by itself. Now, like I said, even something as simple as a webcam or a secondary like iPhone using continuity, that will be a completely separate feed. And like I did last week with my ZV-1F, connecting that by itself to the computer, basically that is its own video feed coming in, and it's separate from the ATEM Mini. So your Ecamm will then recognize it as its own feed and then apply everything like its own effects in the camera switcher window, and also recording its own isolated feed. So that's the power of Ecamm, but unfortunately that's also the design of the ATEM Mini. Oh, the background music? Sly says, so I should be able to put the background music on, right? Yeah, that's not going to be a problem. And like I said, if you're not using Crisp, right, and you don't have that software muddling, so to speak, the music, your same audio interface or kind of the microphone, right, you can use that as your music source as well. So those are things that, could be implemented the same way, or that's kind of like hacking the system as well, because that's just the way that my mind works. So for example, if I had a 2 microphone setup, right, and I know that they're coming in separately, I would actually like maybe use one as the microphone. But that's honestly like overthinking and doing it the hard way, so to speak, especially now when we have the ability to literally drag and drop music into a folder and have Ecamm completely just take care of it. Before, it was even more difficult to try to get that sound where I could hear it clearly and enjoy the music as well. That's where the Rodecaster and all that stuff comes into play. But now, look at how simple it is. It is literally just a folder is playing the music, and that's it. The only, back, or the only negative, so to speak, about this is that you actually have to put the music on your computer. So if you're like me and you have 9 hours of music, I would much rather have that being played through the website, kind of like streaming, because I'm gonna get the same exact quality, and I'm gonna save all the hard drive space. But if you have a certain amount, just the favorites, and not like me, then you're able to put, and I still think, how many did I put in here? Let's see. Where is that folder? You know what? I'm not even going to worry about it right now. Oh, that's this one, right? What happened to that folder? But yeah, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'll look for that later. We live and we learn. Okay. Now I'm just shutting off live demo mode. Boom. Getting back to the chat. Oh, Dr. Elo snuck in. You're going to be cleaning erasers. Saying hello to everyone. Saying hello to Mr. Moderator. And also to myself, saying, Wepa Luis. Wepa. Sir, I saw your video. I'm subscribed to your new channel. It's very unfortunate that that happened to you. And that's gotta suck. So I'm just sharing my feelings directly to you, and now I will explain to the rest of the Camera Junkie crew. Unfortunately, from my understanding, Dr. Elo was trying to change his YouTube channel from regular content creator to a brand account, so that it will allow other people to actually have roles within his YouTube channel, giving him assistance in the way I've seen many other channels do. One of them being Ecamm. Mr. Moderator here and I have different roles within that Ecamm channel that allow us to go in and make some adjustments in the background to, better produce the content that we're moderating, so to speak, on Ecamm. Hello? Okay, let's see here. Hello. Okay, we're back. For some weird reason, just to explain, my Zoom PodTrack P4 shut down. And it just said goodbye. It just shut down, cut off my microphone. I turned it back on and everything works fine. So that's where we're at. Okay, so to then continue explaining, apparently, to give access to YouTube to change his account, there was an error in the mix, and in the error, apparently his YouTube channel basically just got lost to the ether. It just got hung up, and I equate this to cut and paste and copy and paste. So if I can give you a pretty good idea of what I think happened, is that during the conversion of his channel going from just regular to branded, it's kind of like when you take files from a computer and you're moving them from one folder to another or from one hard drive to another, and instead of copying and pasting over the files, you decide to cut them and paste them over. The problem is that you're actively removing it from one hard drive and hoping that the entire file transfer goes off without a hitch, and then sends every exact file over to the other hard drive without an issue. So what happens is that if you were to do the cut and paste method, and there unfortunately happens to have a glitch in the transfer, you've lost the file, because it was basically like if you were juggling and the ball was in the air. It was in the air. There was no source file because you cut it from the original. You decided to put it all into virtual memory until it gets copied over to the other local memory hard drive, and it got corrupted, and something negative happened in the virtualization aspect of the computer, and now you don't have the original source file because you removed it from there, and the final file that you have in the ending hard drive is corrupt and no longer usable. So that's where I think this is where the hiccup happens within these files, that when you go to change the brand account, it kind of leaves your channel up in the air. And unfortunately for Dr. Elo, his channel did not recover from that transfer. It just kind of got lost into the ether and now wasn't found in the original place or its desired destination being a branded channel. So it's unfortunate. It really does suck, and I feel for you, but man, it really makes me think twice about what I'm going to do and see exactly how that could change in the future, because it's also something that I was looking to do myself. Always been hesitant, and then to find out that, a brother, a camera junkie, is also like went attempted to do it and had such a bad experience with it. It just sucks, man. So I feel for you, man, and hopefully everything gets settled out. Hopefully they end up finding everything. Says thanks, brother. Pragmatic. I will overcome this for sure. Absolutely. And we're just saying. I'm not sure exactly what this means because I'm not the best with TLAs. 3-letter acronyms. IDA in a few weeks. IAD actually. So BTW IAD in a few weeks. So by the way, and that's where I'm lost. But so Paul says another thing that happens when you do this is that you will lose all your comments associated with your videos. I think that was the first thing that actually made me hesitant. That I was like, oh my god, like there's so many comments, right? But it's also something that, thinking long term right now at, like around 1,500 subscribers, it's a lot easier than if I continue to use my account this way for another 2, 3, 4 years and then try to do it with a bigger subscriber count, because it will be even that much more beneficial. And then do it and lose, instead of like a couple of years of comments, lose 4 years, 5 years of comments, right? And doing it then. So it's almost like ripping off the band-aid is a bit better in my eyes for that aspect. But at the same time, when you're seeing situations like, Dr. E over here, okay, so that's an airport. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you for clarifying that, guys. But yeah, so that's basically what I say. Like I was looking into it just the same. This year I'm gonna be changing things up, going like legit, right? 100%. I've always said you can't half-ass things, you gotta whole-ass them. There were some things that held me up last year from basically like filing out and finishing up paperwork, right? Because I thought my situation was different. I was able to clarify that, and not to get into more detail, but my situation is a lot better than what was uh, presumed previously. But because of it, I will be moving forward, and 2023 is going to be an excellent year for me and for all the things Camera Junkie, right? So if you weren't aware, last week we had a successful meetup in Orlando. It was a bit delayed, but it was successful. It was a lot of fun and a learning experience, and I know that I will be redoing it soon and also better. So that's something to look forward to. But there's a lot of things on my plate right now, a lot of things that I want to accomplish. So the only thing to do is to get to it and finish them up. And that's where I'm gonna leave every single one of you amazing camera junkies there. You know, do your best and the most with the time that you have. I'm a big proponent of trying to make the most of it every day. Certain days this week really kicked my butt because I was just too tired to do anything, and I had to suck it up and take a nap. I did it. I took a nap and it felt good. But with that being said, I want to thank you all for hanging out with me yet another week. We did it. Camera Junkie Livestream 114 in the books. Can you believe 114 consecutive weeks? These numbers just keep piling up on each other, and I don't even know, like, it's just going to keep going. The snowball's going to get bigger and bigger, and that's why I can't wait to see you here next week to do it all over again. Thank you as always for hanging out. This is, as I always say, the best part of my week. And I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces doing it all over again next week. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you here, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Camera Junkie live stream. Can't wait. See you then. Oh, and I don't even have an outro. So you see? Now we're going to build a quick outro. We're going to create a new scene. Boom. And in this new scene, we're going to run. Oh, let me do it like this. Here, let's do this. The last little bit, we're going to get it all in. Here we go. Okay, so we're in live demo mode. Okay, live demo mode. We've created the scene, right? A new scene. We're going to click this little thing and we're going to choose a file. And let's go to my desktop. And then live stream files. And then we have the same loop, right? Loop number 1. We're going to select it and we're going to open it. So now that's our loop number 1. We're going to go right into this window and we're going to add a text overlay. And that text overlay, we're going to put see you next week. Oops. Let's capitalize the whole thing. And we're going to change the fonts. Let's do this up here. Impact is cool. Okay, see you next week. We can do regular, size 48 fonts. We're going to change this color. We're not going to do a background. And that's it. And it's in white, and we're going to add that. And now this, oh, we need to loop this. We're going to hit play again. I'm going to go here. Right. So see you next week. Boom. And now we're going to lock that scene. Oh, we're going to name it outro. Caps, outro. That's fine. And we remove my face from the corner there. So now that's the scene. And now when I get here and I get out of live demo mode, we have our main scene And now our outro scene. So we do this. Thank you all, and have a great week. Callie snuck in. Love you all. See you next week.